Have you ever had one of those days where everything feels stuck? Where no matter how hard you try, nothing seems to move forward? You're doing the work, you're staying positive, you're putting energy out, and yet nothing shifts. You start wondering, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I change this? Why does everything feel out of my control? Why is nothing working? Not in a dramatic way, not falling apart, just tired. Tired of trying, tired of hoping, tired of waiting. You're still functioning, still getting through your day, but inside, something feels really heavy. That quiet voice that says, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm trying and nothing's working. What's the point? Nothing I do makes a difference. You feel at the mercy of forces bigger than you. People, systems, circumstances, timing, money, health, relationships, the world. And slowly, quietly, you feel a sense of helplessness. And if we're honest, this feeling has become almost normal in our world. So many people feel powerless right now over relationships, over their finances, their health, careers, the future, the state of the world. And as we constantly scroll social media, as we watch the news, we listen to other people's struggles, and without realizing it, we absorb, falling deeper into the state of feeling more lost, more confused, sapped of energy, more helpless. And we fantasize about a totally different life. It's often accompanied by exhaustion, irritability, sadness, numbness, and the urge to simply shut down. But today, I want to share something that completely changes how we see helplessness. Because what if helplessness is not a failure? What if it's not something to escape? What if the very moment you feel the most powerless is actually the moment you're the closest to your true power? Let's explore that. What is helplessness? We usually think helplessness means I don't have control, I don't have power, I don't know what to do anymore, I can't change this. But here's the deeper truth. You can never actually be powerless. Even when you feel powerless, you're still always choosing how you experience that moment. You are choosing what you focus on, what meaning you give a situation, what story you tell yourself, how you respond emotionally. So helplessness isn't the absence of power, it's a specific use of your power. You're using your power to generate the experience of, I can't, I'm stuck, I don't know. It's the same power that generates feelings of contentment, fulfillment, happiness, and joy. You're just choosing to express that power to explore this state of helplessness. And that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means there is something valuable you're exploring. Because every experience you have, pleasant or unpleasant, confusing or clear, contains information, knowledge, and it's something on a higher level you are participating in. Helplessness is not random, it's not punishment, it's not a flaw. It's an experience your consciousness is exploring. An experience always has information that teaches us valuable lessons for growth. So, why does helplessness feel so heavy? Helplessness is so challenging because it feels like a contradiction of how our life should be. At your core, you are creative, capable, intelligent, adaptive, powerful. So when you temporarily experience, I can't, I don't know, I'm feeling trapped, your system feels the mismatch. It feels like wearing clothes that don't fit. The discomfort isn't because you're broken. It's because it feels out of sync with your true nature. Helplessness is not the problem, it's pointing to the problem. And the message is simple. You are seeing yourself as smaller than you really are. That's it. Not wrong, not failing, not behind, just temporarily misidentifying yourself. It's the illusion of being out of control. An illusion is something that can be experienced as real while not being the whole truth. A mirage is a perfect example. You can see it, your body reacts to it, but it's not water. Helplessness is like that because even in a moment where you feel trapped, you still have a choice. You can choose your next breath. You can choose your next sentence. You can choose where you place your attention. You can choose whether you interpret a sensation as positive or negative. You can choose one small action that makes you feel better, even if you can't yet choose the final outcome. Helplessness often comes from demanding a specific outcome happen before you allow yourself to feel okay. It's the belief, I will feel safe and settled only when this entire situation resolves. That creates a constant state of inner hostage taking. It's like looking in the mirror and expecting your reflection to smile first, before you smile. By choosing to respond differently, you change your energy. You change your trajectory. Even when it feels like everything is falling apart, even when life feels chaotic, even when plans collapse, you always have choice, perspective, response, interpretation. You can't control everything externally, but you can always control where you place your attention and your energy. And that is what truly shapes experience. So when someone says, I have no control, what they really mean is, I don't like the options I see, but that's very different from having no options. Helplessness often shows up when we expect things to look a certain way, when the old strategies we use stop working, when what is familiar starts falling apart and certainty dissolves, and when we cling to how we think it should happen, and when reality doesn't match our expectations. We come to the conclusion, I'm powerless. But here's what's actually happening. Reality is telling you it's time to expand. Your mind wants control, the comfort of familiarity and certainty. It's resistant to change. But your soul wants growth. It wants expansion. Helplessness is what happens when those two clash. Why is it that helplessness feels like this global epidemic? We live in an era of information overload, constant comparison, economic uncertainty, social fragmentation, and nervous systems that rarely fully rest, and a sense that our world is shifting faster than our personal lives can stabilize. When the outer world feels unstable and we begin to identify with it, we lose our equilibrium and look for things that guarantee our safety outside of us. But we feel powerless, and that's when helplessness arrives. Many people have been trained to outsource their authority. We're trained to believe someone else knows best, someone else has permission, someone else has power, someone else decides what's possible, someone else will approve, choose, accept, rescue, validate. This creates more powerlessness, more helplessness, because we have given away our own power to external forces. Helplessness appears as an invitation for you to reclaim your authority. It's the pressure point that forces you to return to sovereignty. It's the messenger telling you you're outgrowing a version of yourself. Your old coping mechanisms stopped working. Your identity begins to shift into a higher form, and old control patterns collapse. Outdated beliefs that no longer serve you get exposed. Helplessness shows up at a threshold moment. It's the pause between who you were and who you're becoming, when you're outgrowing a version of yourself. It feels uncomfortable because you can't go back, but you can't yet see forward. That in-between space feels unbearable. It feels like, I don't know what to do. I'm lost and I'm confused. I feel helpless. But it's really, I am shedding something, and shedding always feels vulnerable. Helplessness is when the mind demands comfort and certainty, yet the soul invites you to trust the next step, even when you feel uncertain, scared, and confused. Change your relationship with helplessness by choosing to see it as a stepping stone, a bridge to your next level of evolution. Imagine you're in a dark room and you need to find the light switch. If you stand still, demanding certainty that the room is safe before you move, you'll never know. But if you have the courage to take one careful step and sweep your hand along the wall, the switch appears. The room didn't become different. Your relationship to the room changed. That's how this works. You trust, you move, you feel, you adjust, and the light now illuminates your path. Helplessness can sometimes feel very isolating, like we've been cut off from support and guidance. But the truth is, we're never actually cut off from guidance. It's part of who we are. But sometimes that guidance doesn't come from the outside. It leads us inward into a quieter, more solitary part of our journey. And that can feel uncomfortable. There's a butterfly analogy that explains this beautifully. A person once saw a butterfly struggling to break out of its cocoon and thought, I'll help. So they opened the cocoon early to let the butterfly out. What they didn't realize was that the struggle itself was necessary. The butterfly needed the resistance of the cocoon to strengthening its wings. Without that resistance, the butterfly couldn't fly. What looked like helplessness was actually the very thing building its strength. Here's the paradox. You can never actually be helpless because your true state is a state of unlimited power. You can only create the experience of helplessness. You are choosing helplessness as a contrast to remember the opposite, your power. Strange, right? But think about it. You only feel helpless because you know you are capable. If you were truly powerless, you wouldn't even question it. The very frustration you feel is proof you know better. So helplessness is never a dead end. It's a contrast experience. It shows you what no longer works so you can move towards what does. And contrast is how consciousness learns and evolves. And so, how do you free yourself from helplessness? Most people try to fix helplessness with thinking harder, forcing solutions, positive affirmations, mental strategies. But helplessness is not solved at the level of mind, because helplessness often comes from over-control, trying to manage everything, trying to predict outcomes, trying to make life behave. And when life refuses, we feel powerless. So helplessness is often the collapse of false control. It's life saying, let go, trust, and expand. So let's talk about how to free yourself from helplessness. Number 1, stop fighting the feeling. The first step is to stop trying to escape helplessness. Resistance feeds it. Instead, say, okay, I'm experiencing being helpless right now. No judgment, no drama, just honesty. Notice where you feel it in your body. Your chest, your stomach, your throat, your jaw. Challenging emotions are trapped energy that the body experiences as a constriction somewhere. Let it exist without trying to fix it, and breathe into it. Because when you allow it to be and recognize it, it softens. You stop feeding it with fear. Number 2, ask better questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Try, what is this showing me about myself? Instead of, when will this end? Try, what am I assuming right now that makes me feel there are no options? Instead of, what am I doing wrong? Try, what feels no longer aligned in my life? Then pause and let the answer come. It may come immediately, or later in the day, or over the next few days. Helplessness often means you're trying to solve the current situation with an old identity you're shedding. The solution isn't doing more, it's being different. Number 3, look at where you're giving power away. Helplessness thrives when we wait for permission, need approval or validation, depend on outcomes, attach ourselves to timelines, look outside of ourselves. It also triggers assumptions such as, if I can't fix it today, it'll never change. If I don't get a sign, I'm doomed. If I rest, I'll fall behind. If I choose wrong, everything will collapse. If I'm not in control, I'm not safe. Gently release all assumptions and write down this sentence. Today, helplessness is trying to convince me that blank. Think intentionally and fill in that blank. Is it about money, a person, a circumstance? That's where your power is leaking. Reclaim it by saying, I now take back my power. Number 4, bring yourself back into alignment. Most helplessness comes from wanting specific things to be in a specific way or on a specific timeline. But alignment works differently. Instead of asking, when will it happen? Power returns when you stop waiting and you start choosing to do something that restores your equilibrium. In any given moment, there's always something you can do to feel lighter, even during the most challenging times. Maybe it's breathing deeply, stretching your body, going outside, journaling, calling a friend, thinking of a pet or a loved one, resting, creating something, or just moving your body. Do it. Not to fix life, not to manifest anything, not to prove anything, just because it feels lighter and better. What brings you excitement, joy, passion is your internal compass. This is also a key part to 𝗙𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗏's formula of following your highest excitement to bring yourself back into alignment. It's not about big leaps. It's about small choices to do what lifts your spirit. Each time you do this, it rebuilds self-trust and raises your energy to a higher vibration. And this is what dissolves helplessness. Number 5, redefine control. Control is not about forcing outcomes. Control is about choosing a different perspective. You can't control people, circumstances, timing, but you can control the meaning you give to something, where you place your focus, where you spend your energy. Ask, how do I want to be in this moment? Calm, curious, open, grounded, and so I shall be. That's real power. If you feel helpless when you're triggered by a person, a situation, a comment, a delay, a setback, the trigger is the messenger. It shows you where you're giving your power away, where you're saying, I can only feel okay if people approve. I can only feel okay if I'm chosen. I can only feel okay if I'm understood. These conditions create helplessness because they make your well-being dependent on external validation. Here's the hidden gift in helplessness. It strips away the illusion that you're powerless, if you let it. It brings to your awareness what to release that makes you feel smaller, what to release that makes you feel numb, what to release that makes you feel tight, what to release that makes you abandon yourself. It leaves you raw, and raw is powerful because raw means honest, open, authentic. From that place, helplessness collapses into power. You start listening, and when you listen, you enter a state of quiet awareness. And this is when guidance becomes clear. Not loud, not dramatic, clear. Here's where everything changes. The moment you realize, I'm not helpless, I'm exploring the sensation of helplessness. You redefine the meaning of helplessness. You're not stuck, you're learning. You're not behind, you're recalibrating. You're not broken, you're shedding. That awareness alone restores your power. Where you place your attention is what you amplify. And so, helplessness is not your enemy. It's the signal that your current strategy is over. You're transitioning. It's your higher self's way of communicating. That way of doing it through force, through fear, through self-abandonment won't work anymore because you're being asked to evolve. It asks, who are you without control? Who are you without certainty? Who are you without defined outcomes? The answer is, you're still you, whole, intelligent, capable. You never lost your power. You're just discovering it was always part of you. And so, if you ever experience the feeling of being helpless, instead of giving into the emotion, see it for the messenger it is, an invitation to release what limits you and step into the awakening that reflects the person who you're becoming. And with that, we'll bring this to a close. Questions or comments are always welcome. I read them all. I've also left a question in the pinned comment for any insights you'd like to offer. If you like the sharing and you'd like to hear more, please hit the like button. This is what helps me know that you're inspired by my teachings. And if you'd like to hear more insights, tap the notification bell to be notified when new videos are released. Thank you so much for listening and for being part of this beautiful community where we release the illusion of powerlessness and see life's challenges as part of our journey of self-discovery and awakening. Superhuman made simple with the architect.